Welcome back to Geek Culture 101, your home for all things geek. Today we're hopping into our DeLorean and blasting back to the 1980s, the decade that truly rocked pop culture. From groundbreaking films to unforgettable music, the 1980s laid the foundation for so much of what we cherish today. So grab your cassette tapes and let's dive into why this era remains timeless. The rise of the Blockbuster. The 1980s transformed Hollywood with the birth of the Blockbuster. Films like Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Back to the Future, and Batman were just a few of the many box office hits. But they were more than that. They became cultural phenomena. These films introduced us to epic storytelling, unforgettable characters, and action sequence that changed cinema forever. The 80s redefined what it meant to be a moviegoer, turning films into events that we still celebrate today. Music that defined the generations. Let's talk about the music. The 80s were all about innovation and flair. From Michael Jackson's record-breaking Thriller to Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer, Skid Row's I Remember You, and so many more great songs. The soundtrack of this decade was truly revolutionary and my personal favorite. Music videos became an art form in their own right, with MTV changing the way we experience music. Remember Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Wanna Have Fun? The 80s taught us to express ourselves and embrace our individuality, the spirit that is alive and well today. Gaming revolution. The gaming world exploded in the 1980s. With the introduction of home consoles like the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Sega Master System, and eventually the Sega Genesis. Titles like Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy, and so many more didn't just provide entertainment, they created legacies. These games pioneered storytelling and gameplay mechanics, influencing generations of developers and gamers alike. The lasting impact of the 80s innovation is still felt in the gaming industry today. Fashion forward. Fashion in the 80s was nothing short of spectacular. Think bold neon colors, big hair, and shoulder pads that could take down a foe. And let's not forget shiny shirts, leather jackets, and leather pants. The style of this era about making statements and being unapologetically loud. Whether you loved leg warmers or your acid wash jeans, the 80s taught us that fashion is all about self-expression. Today we see many of these trends making a comeback, proving that sometimes you can truly have your cake and eat it too. Technological revolution. Technology in the 80s were a game changer. The dawn of personal computers and the early days of mobile phones set the stage for our digital future. The launch of the Apple Macintosh brought computing to the masses, paving the world of tech we live in today. It's amazing to think about the building blocks of our current tech landscape began with the bold innovations of this decade. Lasting pop culture icons. Let's not forget the unforgettable icons. Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and He-Man dominated the toy shelves and became beloved animated series. These franchises didn't just entertain, they created lifelong fandoms and left legacies that continue to thrive in movies, comic books, and merchandise today. The battle cry of "Transform and Roll Out" resonates with fans, reminding us of the excitement these characters brought to our childhood. Fast food and commercial icons. The 1980s also introduced us to some memorable commercial mascots. Who could forget Mac Tonight, McDonald's singing moon-headed character who made late-night dining cool. And of course, Mac's headroom. The glitchy and wisecracking spokesman who became a symbol of digital culture. The characters weren't just advertisements, they became pop culture icons in their own right, influencing fashion and music and even television shows. Geeks start to rule the world. The 1980s was also the era when the geek culture started to gain mainstream acceptance. With the rise of personal computing, sci-fi movies, and video games, being a geek transformed from a niche identity into a badge of honor. Icons like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were once considered outliers, became symbols of innovation and success. The seeds planted in the 80s grew into the tech-driven world we live in today, where geeks truly rule. So why does 80s pop culture still resonate? It's simple. The decade was about more than just entertainment. It created shared experiences. Whether you're binge watching classic films, rocking out to 80s hits, or rediscovering retro video games, there's an undeniable nostalgia that connects us to that time. The 1980s were just a period, they were a cultural revolution, shaping our tastes and our trends in ways we're still experiencing today. Well guys, thanks for joining me on this epic journey through the fabulous 1980s. If you loved revisiting this iconic decade, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more geek culture explorations. Until next time, stay totally tubular and keep the 80s alive.